Welcome everybody to this week's NZHSP live Q&A session here on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm going to be your host, Matt Jones, founder of Advanced Safety and NZHSP. And in this week, I've got 3 topics that I want to touch base on. And I want to pick your brains on as well. The first one is how to de-escalate a situation on a live construction environment. A recent experience over the last couple of days, some of the lessons learned and some of the observations that I want to share with you guys today. Number 2, how much should a health and safety consultant charge? How much should you pay your health and safety consultant for their services? We're going to delve into that, talking through some of the factors and things to consider when thinking about the dollar figure and those services. And number 3, we are going to be talking about the importance of knowing your scope when it comes to health and safety management and practice. So what is a scope, I hear you say? What I mean by that is, who are the key stakeholders? Who are your influences within your business, both upstream and downstream? Pretty pertinent conversation to be having right now, especially with the Whakaari White Island trials coming to a conclusion, and some of the lessons learned from that. So those are the top 3 things that we're going to be discussing over the next 30 minutes. 1, de-escalating gnarly scenarios and situations on a construction site and how to. Number 2, how much should a health and safety consultant be charging and how much should you be paying them? And number 3, the importance of knowing your scope. Who are your key stakeholders when it comes to your health and safety management systems in practice? So that's what we're covering over the next 28 minutes. I'm just using this opportunity to introduce the show, give people a chance to jump on. If you are on the live feed, welcome. Feel free to share this link or to just simply share this post among your connections to increase the number of live viewers. And for those of you who are tuning in the recorded session, awesome. It's awesome to have you here too. You can still join the conversation by adding your thoughts and comments into the comments section. It also helps if you put in the words replay to allow us to help answer those questions as they come through. So welcome. If this is your first time, it's good to have you here. If you've joined us and tuned in before, it's awesome to have you back here as well. Some of you may be aware that the previous sessions that I've done over the last, several months now, have been recorded and are now being made available on YouTube. I will be sharing the links to that at the end of the show. I'll add it to the comments a little bit after we go off air. A little bit of housekeeping. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today, before we kick into the 3 top topics, is a week ago we announced a little known fact that NZHSP is going to be holding a live conference, a summit in early 2025. And at the moment we have put out a waitlist to basically find out what you guys are looking for. This is going to be a conference that is significantly different to any other health and safety conference experience you may have been fortunate enough to experience in the past. One of the main ways in which we're doing that is, 1, putting out a wait list, but 2, signing up for that wait list also includes a 30-second questionnaire, which is going to help us carve and shape the very best health and safety conference experience you have ever experienced. So I'll be putting a link to that at the, well, let's just do it now whilst we're here. I'm going to quickly jump on to find the live session on Facebook. It's going to be there somewhere. Whilst I try and find myself. No, it's too hard. It's all good. I'll do it at the end. Okay, here we go. There's the LinkedIn version anyway. Okay, LinkedIn, there's the link. Jump on it, get on it, get into that waitlist for the summit. For you guys on Facebook, gosh, where is it? It's here somewhere. Aha, thank you, Andre, for liking the live feed and enabling me to find it. Right, there's the link to join the NZHSP Summit waitlist. It's as easy as that. Click the link, this one, follow the instructions, insert your details, and then answer the 30-second questionnaire. and you are helping us to determine exactly what the conference, what the summit is going to look like in terms of experiences, what you value when it comes to live events such as that. Really exciting times. So let's delve back into the content for today. So the three subjects: de-escalating gnarly scenarios on a work site, the hows, the do's, the don't do's. How much should a health and safety consultant be charging? How much should you be paying a health and safety consultant? And knowing your scope, the importance of knowing the key stakeholders in your organization when it comes to health and safety management matters. So let's delve into it. As always, any comments, any questions that crop up during these sessions, please feel free to add them into the comments. If you can hear me, if you can see me, and it's all sounding good, also, can you do me a favor and let me know in the comments? Even if it's just a simple thumbs up, it's really great to be aware of whether sound quality and visuals are coming through. I can't tell from here. And you can probably tell I'm a little bit remote today. I'm actually coming to you from Hamilton. I've been on a week-long tour of audits and site inspections throughout the land, and soon to be jumping back on a plane and going home, which is very exciting. So let me know if this is all coming through loud and clear for you. So, de-escalating gnarly scenarios live in a work environment. So, as I just mentioned, as many of you are probably aware, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I've been doing a really significant chunk of auditing this week, with a very healthy dose of site inspections in between. I might spend some time defining the difference between audit and site inspection another time, but right now, that's what I've been up to. And during one of my audits, I was fortunate enough to witness a pretty gnarly scenario, which could have easily have gone either way. But because of the way in which the health and safety manager of that project responded to the scenario, and some of the key words and phrases that him and I used to help de-escalate that scenario, it ended up being resolved really quickly and in a really professional way. And I just wanted to delve into and unpack some of the takeaways from that, because I think it would be really valuable for all of you. So in respect of my client and in respect for the individuals that were involved in that, I won't be mentioning any names for obvious reasons, but I'm just going to paint the picture a little bit for you. So halfway through the audit, really amazing experience, fantastic site, fantastic people. We walked into a kitchen environment, and we found a grinder left on the floor, which was plugged in. It had its tags, that's all good, but what it didn't have was its guard connected to it, nor did it have the hand hold attachment on the tool. Both are key critical health and safety items that live on a grinder. We found the owner of the grinder, and we just simply asked him if he could come and have a quick chat with us in the kitchen. So we brought him into the quiet area. We asked him why he had chosen not to have those attachments on the piece of equipment, and it quickly escalated from there. He met the question with full aggression. Really, he got very, very angry, short in breath, chest puffed out. What's your problem? I don't need it. I don't need that. I don't need the attachments because I can't do my job with the guard or the hand grip attached to it. His role is a kitchen fitter, so he does the bench tops and a bit of tiling. And so, from his opinion and from his experience, both of those safety devices that are critical for reducing the risk of injury or fatality got in the way of his task. The health and safety manager reminded him of the minimum standards when it came to the construction site and the project at large, but also our concerns about the fact that he had been using this tool in this manner. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've never had a problem before. I can't do this without those attachments. It makes my job impossible. Full, like, real tense anger at this stage. The health and safety manager took a step back, took a breath. So did I actually. And he then turned it to, hey, the values of our company are, let's say it's kindness. It's something else, but it's similar. And so let's just take a step back and just address it, person to person. Why did you make this choice? And so he reiterated the choice, the reasons for that choice. He then started to get really angry again, started to swear, and get quite aggressive. Health and safety manager, we need to take this away from here. We need to go and have a meeting back at the health and safety office. Um, I would like you to pack up your tools and to meet us over there, because this is a really cool thing that he said, which stuck with me. Because at the moment, we're not understanding each other. And in order for us to understand each other, we need to take this conversation and have it back at the office. We might need to have some help with this conversation with your manager. But until then, I think, my friend, we're having trouble to understand one another, which just blew my mind. I was like, dude, that was such the perfect thing to say. This is BS. I don't have time for this. I've got a job to do. Like full noise from this young fella. He's probably only in his early 30s, right? So it's quite, yeah, really quite gnarly. So at this stage, I turned to him and said, okay, the grinder and everything we've just talked about, let's just put that to the side right now, like eyeball to eyeball. Are you okay? Which just stopped him in his tracks. I could actually see the mask kind of come off just for a split second. I think that kind of got to him. It cracked him, and he took a step back, and he realized that everything was not okay, and this conversation was completely inappropriate. Health and safety manager called in his 2IC, and he asked that individual to escort him back down to the health and safety office at the entrance of the big project. Him and I then continued to do the rest of the audit. We then collected ourselves and got back to the health and safety office, where this young man was waiting to talk to us. He had also had an opportunity to speak to his manager and for his manager to help address the situation. And within a few minutes, the young fellow was knocking on the door and shaking each of our hands to apologize and to just make it clear that he understands that that was a really unacceptable response to that scenario. He was his tools and everything else were soon removed thereafter. But after shaking his hand, I asked him that question one more time: "Are you okay, bro?" And I think that struck home with his manager, and we had a conversation. Or I had a conversation with the health and safety manager soon after that, where it was confirmed that he had been removed from the site, but also some additional support and services was being provided to that young guy. I just wanted to share that experience because for me, the way in which the health and safety manager dealt with that was just phenomenal. Going back to the company values, reminding that individual, hey, we're all about kindness here. This is out of sync with company values. The tool, this is below our line, our standard of what is acceptable. What he did is he took it away from being a personal attack to, these are our values, these are our standards. There isn't a debate here. When he realized that the young individual wasn't taking on board what was being said, he then took it a step further and said, we're not understanding each other and we need to remove ourselves from this situation and to have a safe conversation away from here in a very short space of time to be able to find a mutual understanding of the scenario. So good, such a powerful experience. So I just wanted to share that with you because I'm hoping that might be useful for you guys if you come across a scenario like that where you've got an aggressive worker who's not taking some feedback very well. Taking it back to company values, taking it back to minimum standards, and if all else fails, getting some assistance in as soon as you can to remove the tension, and then to address the situation, and then if required, remove them from site. Super awesome experience. So I was really impressed, and it was great to be able to witness that as an auditor. But also to play some part in that as well, the important question of asking the individual if they are okay. Really powerful stuff. So that was topic number one. Any questions, any feedback, let me know in the comments. I can see the feedback in the comments, so please feel free to bung it in. If that was a useful tale for you, for example, I would love to know, because that helps me to steer the conversation in the future. Welcome to everyone who's joining us. It's really nice to see you here. I appreciate you are all super busy, so thank you for taking the time out to join us. This is being recorded and it will be available afterwards as well. Okay, so topic number 2, drum roll. How much should a health and safety consultant charge? How much should you pay a health and safety consultant? Well, let me tell you, over the years, I have had the opportunity to work with many, many health and safety consultants across the land. Gosh, 10 years ago, I was a health and safety consultant in another health and safety consultancy. I was a business partner with them for a long time. And again, engaged with many consultants in the regions. And now in the last few years, as I've moved up the food chain and am now consulting and assisting senior executive leaders, ELTs, board of directors, I have a really awesome oversight of tenders and proposals, offers of service. So I get a real good sense of where the market is at. There's a real disparity when it comes to pricing. And there's actually a tale of two cities in a way, where there is some tenders and some hourly rates that are coming in, which, from my opinion, are incredibly low. Particularly because I know some of these people, I know their training experience and capabilities, and I feel that they perhaps are underselling themselves. And some of the reasons why that may be could be that they are relatively new to the consulting game and haven't had an opportunity to build their reputation, to build some case studies, and to build market share. That's cool. I get it. And for others, it may be because they have a really weird relationship with money and a really weird relationship with what they do and what they perceive the amount of value that they provide to those clients. So at the bottom end of that pricing, it comes in sometimes at $80 to $100 an hour, which for a health and safety consultant, which is your profession, where you've got maybe 4, 5, 6 years experience, at a minimum, a level 6 paper, and some skin in the game in terms of the industries that you're serving. 80 to 100 bucks an hour, from my perspective, is too low, and it should be more. And I would challenge you, if you are at that rate, to have a real hard think about how you perceive the value that you are providing to the market, and also having a think through some of the things that I've just noted about what, in my opinion, makes a seasoned practitioner health and safety consultant. If you're ticking those boxes, you know your industry, you've been involved in it for 5 or 6 years doing health and safety, you've got a level 6 paper or above, there's no way you should be at those low rates. At the other end of the scale, some of us are charging to 250, maybe even more, $100 an hour for your service. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. This boils right back down to the risk equation. Some of those hourly rates are absolutely justified. And there's some examples that I'm about to give you. One is you could be engaged as an expert witness in a court case. You may be asked to provide your professional opinion of the case that has been brought forward to the courts. And it is your role to provide an independent opinion of the matters of fact that have been presented to you from a health and safety professional perspective, based on legislation, based on industry knowledge and your expertise in health and safety. It would make sense to be charging a considerable amount of money for that role, because you are putting your everything on the block, really, to be able to assist the court and the judge to make an informed decision. So no doubt that absolutely requires a value that reflects that type of level of thinking. Other examples could include advising boards and executives at that very high level, helping them to steer an organization at the officer level. Again, absolutely, it would make sense to me to be charging those kinds of numbers, because you are helping to steer and carve out the direction in which the organization is taking. If you were charging that kind of amount for the creation of a policy or a health and safety document, mm, good on you for getting that kind of rate. But I would wonder if that was a reasonable amount of money to be charging. So I'm just trying to give you some sense of scales here, right? So on one end is 80 to $100 an hour, based on some of the criteria that I previously mentioned. I think you're undercharging yourselves. At the other end, where it's like 200, 250 plus an hour, if you are serving some of those examples that I gave you, so whether it is an expert witness in a trial or a court case, or if you are delivering a really critical key message to the board or to the ELT, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely right. And it's trying to find that sweet spot somewhere in the middle when you're just doing your day-to-day, whether it's auditing, site inspections, the creation, population of documentation, of helping to facilitate the change of management within an organization. And I think you've got to try and find that sweet spot in the middle. And that's what I'm going to address now. That sweet spot in the middle, I'm not going to tell you my hourly rates. It's not appropriate for me to talk about that on this platform. But what I will say is at the end of the day, it is the market that will pay you what you are worth. And the market makes those decisions based on past experience, might be based on some market research. It may be based on how they perceive you and your consultancy. So if you're super quiet, you don't like doing stuff on social because it's a bit ick and you don't want people to be mean about you, then you may actually be doing yourself a bit of a disservice and it may be reflected in your hourly rates. On the other hand, if you have gone out of your way to get the qualifications, to get the skills and the experience, you're out there doing stuff, you're engaging and having really cool conversations with people, you're prepared to share your stories on LinkedIn and Facebook, you're prepared to go on live calls, unscripted, completely high risk, really, because let's face it, I could say something that might not actually be right and I might get myself into trouble. But I back myself because I've been here for so long. I know my trade, and I will always draw a line and put a caveat, I suppose, next to some things where I know that I'm starting to dabble into the grey areas. But because I'm prepared to put myself out there, I'm prepared to put my company out there, and I'm bringing on the journey my franchisees, then it enables us to have a scale or a rate that reflects the energy and the effort and the time and the resource that we've poured into this to make this happen. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of an idea of where we're at. So in a nutshell, in conclusion, if you have got skin in the game and you've done your training and you know your industry and you've been doing it for several years and you're a consultant and you're still charging 80, 90, $100 an hour, don't. You need to increase it and you need to do some market research. If you are in the low hundreds to 150s, that may be reflective in terms of how long you've been involved in consulting. It may reflect how much energy you're putting into marketing and telling your story. And if you're above that, kudos to you. Congratulations. You're up there among the higher band. And that may be reflective of your professionalism, your experience, your skills, and just kicking ass in social. Some top tips very quickly, I'm mindful of time. If you are consulting, if you are thinking about getting into consulting, if you are involved in the management of change in your business, which as a health and safety practitioner, I would argue all of you who are tuning in live and watching this as on the recording, all of you are part of that. It's just part of our profession. That's what we do. If you haven't yet invested in public speaking, workshop facilitation, getting on stage and being confident enough to deliver difficult messages in an understandable and easily digestible way, then you're missing a trick. And it is critically important. So when we go and do our training, when we go and do our graduate diplomas at universities, for example, they don't teach you that. And it's some of that stuff is so important and massively lacking. It's one of the things that I'm going to be addressing at the NZHSP Summit. And I can't wait to share with you what we're going to do at the summit. It's exciting times. Okay, anyway, that was topic number 2. Topic number 3, very quickly. Know your scope. Okay, so this is super important and really timely. Fakari White Island trials made it really clear to anyone in the know that all of those PCBUs involved, those directors at Fakari White Island Management Limited, none of them had a clue as to who was the who was within that scope, who were the duty holders upstream and downstream. None of them had stopped to think about that. And so that's one of the key things that led to the massive exposure that all of them had, is because there was all these overlapping duty holders and none of them talked to one another. Anyway, sorry. So there is a reason why in the ISO 45001 standard, section 4, which is where it really kicks off. That's where the rubber hits the road for ISO 45001. And section 4 talks almost entirely about the scope of the organization. What does it do? Who are the stakeholders? Who is involved or indirectly involved in this organization? Who are the upstream duty holders? Who are the downstream duty holders? What legislation, what regulations, what codes of practice, what influences this organization? And ISO 45001 encourages organizations to go out and to make a list, to create a register of all of this stuff, to stop and to risk assess it. What risks do the Health and Safety at Work Act present to our organization? It's a pretty high risk if we don't do anything about it. We should go and research it, learn it, ensure that we implement the critical requirements of that piece of legislation. And it's the same for codes of practice, regulations, industry best practice, and on and on and on. And it's the same for the upstream and downstream duty holders that influence your organization. So if you're in construction, it's the project management companies, the construction companies, the main contractors, the client, legislation above that. Below, subtrades, service delivery providers. And then we've got to start thinking about the lifespan of that project. Who are going to be the end users of this product? What happens when this product is unusable and gets to its expiry date? How does that matter to us? That's why the scope is right at the front of ISO standards, not only for health and safety, but we're talking environmental, quality, all of the key ISO standards that we dabble with within health and safety all speak to the same structure. Within the first section, or section 4 of the ISO standards, is scope and the duty holders and the influences of that organization. So my recommendation to you all with the last couple of minutes that I've got is, if you don't have a upstream, downstream duty holder register, if you don't have a legislation, regulation, codes of practice, industry best practice register for your organization, I strongly encourage you to do so and to risk assess each of those, having a think about, okay, if we don't know anything about that and we don't do anything about that, what level of risk exposure is that to the organization? And what controls can we put in place? It may be going off and learning about it and implementing what those standards require of the organization, because we bring it right back to day-to-day stuff. We're talking about Fakari and White Island. None of those PCBUs, nor the officers that were standing on trial and just being charged by the officers, had done that homework. And that was one of the key risks and exposures that they had. And this is why, bringing it right back around to ISO, is why I am continually talking about ISO 45001. We've got all these various other pre-qualification schemes. We've got all these other qualification schemes that have been produced. I don't know why, but they are there. And the one that trumps them all is ISO 45001. So if you want to avoid having to do yet another pre-qualification scheme or another self-assessment scheme, I would encourage having a look at ISO 45001, because as soon as you get certified, you all of a sudden just click that box when it comes to pre-qualification season again to say, I've got ISO 45001 certification. See you later. It's done. Saves you a heap of time and energy in the long run, I assure you. Anyway, rant over. So we've just covered de-escalating gnarly situations in the worksite. We have just talked about how much a consultant should be charging, some of the reasons why, based on risk, okay, and the importance of knowing your scope when it comes to your business, upstream, downstream, PCBUs and duty holders, and also the regulatory framework that sits right above all of that. What do you need to be aware of, and how do you mitigate those risks using a table? Seriously, put it in writing, make it happen. So team, I'm aware of time, 2:30 on the dot. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me know in the comments if this is providing you any value. That's what actually keeps this ticking. So the feedback really is what puts the fuel to the fire here. I'm on a mission. You know me. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as I possibly can. Why? Because I can. I've got the tech and I've got the confidence to put this stuff out there. Awesome. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. Good to see you, dude. Thank you. And I don't really have the time to do this. I've actually been really sneaky and sneaked into a little cubicle to go live whilst I'm actually meant to be out there doing work. But that's what I do, and that's why I created NZHSP. That's why we're doing the summit in early 2025. We have got to try new things and do things differently if we as a nation are going to turn the horrendous tide of completely pointless fatalities and the crap statistics that continue to plague us. So yeah, thank you for your support, and yeah, just keep on rocking. I'll see you guys, no doubt, same time next week, Friday, 2 p.m. next week. Where will I be? I don't know. My calendar has gone insane. So take care, everybody. And yeah, speak soon. If you haven't, remember, follow the link at the bottom of this to sign up for the NZHSP Summit 2025. It is going to be an absolute game changer. Okay, take care, everyone. See ya.